Hey guys, what's up? Today we have a very special car to review for you guys. It is the Lincoln Aviator, the baby brother of the Navigator, and this is a beautiful third row luxury SUV. It was originally discontinued in 2005 because it was a horrible version of the Ford Explorer. It basically just changed a little bit of the trim, but now it is basically a completely different car and we really love it and we want to show you why. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and let's move on with it. So now looking at the exterior of this Aviator, we're starting at the front, but first I want to point out the obvious here, this beautiful pristine white color they call it. This is a $700 option and it's really good looking on this car specifically because I think this car has a lot of cool black accents that mesh with this white and make it look really good. For example, these black mirror caps. But talking about the front here, we have this big, wide, masculine grille, and that's a theme we're gonna find with this whole car, but especially this front. It's very broad. We have just these masculine body lines that aren't too sporty because, again, this is a luxury third row SUV. You're not trying to shout out your presence, you're just making it known. Something interesting about this grille is like, there's such a big difference between this front of the grille here and then the radiator back there. There's like 3/4 of a foot. It's very strange. Normally they're closer packed. But again, I like this. I like how they integrated the camera here for your safety features very nicely right under this Lincoln logo. And I like how the chrome here, the silver, kind of twists around. The way the light reflects off of it makes it look like it was twisted, which is a cool look. Moving down again, you have just a nice bottom here with this silver trim. I really like how the blinkers are just their own thing versus right under here. This is a cool look and they're pretty long too. One thing I don't like about these lights is they have like weird lettering on them, like their serial number. That's something that as a luxury brand I feel like they could do better on, but again, it's not the European brands like BMW or Audi where you're going to get that very fine attention to detail, although Lincoln did an overall great job with this car. Moving on to these running lights, they're super cool. We'll show you some B-roll of the side, but they have these cool little chrome strips that just stick out and just really cool angles, and overall really good front looking car. So at the side of this Aviator now, I just want to start off by looking at these wheels. These are called Turbine Wheels because Lincoln's goal for the side of this car, kind of the side profile, was like an airplane. Looking at it, yeah, you have this really cool sloping roof line, but the airplane vibe is a little bit of a stretch. The turbine wheels are cool. It's interesting to note, as you can kind of see, these are curving upwards over here and kind of turning in this fashion. They're in the same direction on the other side of the car, which is kind of weird because if you look at both sides, then they're kind of mismatched. Again, the attention to detail could be better there, but overall, really beautiful side of the car. You have this awesome Aviator badge. It's like super threed. It's like sticks out, like really cool. It's got this nice kind of line design with the chrome under. Again, the mirror caps I noted because of the front. Look at how well they match with this white color. This super cool look. And then this body pillar right here, this A-pillar, comes right up and then just kind of knocks off here. And it's just all black and then just stops versus having all black all the way through. That's a neat touch. Again, here you have just normal chrome strips wrapping around and then you're black again. And also, these wheels are really tall. They're 20 inches. So that's nice too. Really good looking side. One interesting thing to note is these door handles do not extend outward. They have a button actually that you click and then they kind of push out and you open it up. And another thing I'd like to note is these are so long. Longer than like my forearm, like a forearm and a half here. It's crazy. So at the back of the Aviator now, we apologize for the dirtiness. That's one of the downfalls of getting a really nice white or black color. They do get dirty easier. But one of the big things you notice at the back of this car is this really dope light bar that kind of reminds me of like Tron or something like that. It extends all the way to the side here. Really good looking. You have that sloping roof line that kind of comes to this like back spoiler. One of the things I have to notice though at the back of this car are these exhaust tips. We're gonna obviously give B-roll of this. Normally with a fake exhaust tip, you're gonna have your bigger tip and then inside your real tip. For this one, unfortunately, they have the big outside tip, and then the real tip comes out and then burrows down at the bottom of the overall like shiny chrome exhaust tip and just like shuts it out. So if you say you revved it up, all the steam would come right out of the bottom. It's very strange. And honestly, normal fake exhaust tips don't bother me that much because they're not that noticeable. But these, if you look at the back, you see that tube sloping down. It's really not the best looking, and I don't like that. Moving on to the interior though, you do have some nice trunk space. You can either do a double tap of the key to open this, or you can open it with your foot, which is super helpful. All right, we're at the second try there. With the third row up, you have 18 cubic feet of space, and with these nice buttons on the right here, you can put down these seats automatically and bring them back up as well. What's nice too is you can stop these midway and they go right back. I've had like big cars, like I think the Ford Expedition, once they start going down, you cannot bring them back up. So say you accidentally press that and you want to bring them back up, you can do that. Now, with the third row down, your cubic feet of space is going to go from 18 to 42. And then with the second row down, you're going to go from 42 to 78 cubic feet of space, which is higher than the competitor, the Cadillac XT6. So overall, some good back room. And overall, I really like the exterior. Let's see, like there's only 3 things I didn't like: the exhaust tips, the serial number, and the way the wheels didn't match. And at that point, I'm really just nitpicking, because overall it's a really beautiful car with great body lines, and I really like it. So propping the hood up of the Aviator, it does have that BMW system where you double pull the lever and then there's no hinge to like put your hand under, you just raise it up, which is nice. I kind of like it. Here we're seeing the 3-liter V6 that is standard on all Aviators. Decent looking engine. This one's making 400 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. This is going to get you 18 in the city and 26 miles to the gallon on the highway. The other option for engines is the Grand Touring. That's going to be a plug-in hybrid. It's going to be a twin turbo V6 with an additional electric motor, and that's going to give you a whopping 494 horsepower and an even more impressive 630 pound-feet of torque. 630, that is just insane. But those are the 2 engine options for this car. We will talk about the safety features and stuff from the camera and everything else when we do the driving portion.
And here we are on the interior of the Lincoln Aviator, and wow, that is all I can say. It is really a fantastic place to be. In terms of general aesthetics and materials, this is very nice. We have metal on the door, lots of leather, almost everywhere you touch is padded. You have this nice wood here, the nice chrome trim. Everything you see is leather, metal, or wood. I love those materials. I love how they have done that. It just makes the interior cabin look so premium. You have the 2-tone stitching on your steering wheel, just a variety of colors. This one has the sandstone interior. I really like that. Let's get into the specifics of it. And here we are in the driver's seat. Let's start this car up. You get a really nice animation, foot on the brake, press the button, and you can see on both screens you get that really nice animation. Now, let's talk about your steering wheel. You have a very nice 2-tone steering wheel. I like the light leather surrounded by the darker leather. I think this is a very nice look. It feels very premium, very soft. It's nice. It has a nice thickness too. Up here you have a button for your voice activation. I would suggest just keeping your thumb down here, because as with many cars, the voice system is not that fantastic. You do have plastic paddle shifters, which I don't like, but it's easy to keep your hands on the nice leather. Your stalks also look nice, have a nice click to them, and I like how they have the bit of piano black surrounded by the chrome. It looks a lot nicer than just a regular black stalk. Now, also just your doors here have fantastic intricacy to them, especially with those speakers. This car is a 28 speaker sound system. That's part of the $3,000 luxury package. Let's take a look in this big screen. You can see you have an entirely digital display. That is really something that is really, really cool to see, especially from a brand like Lincoln. Lincoln's doing really well with the tech, trying to come back and show that they can be a young and current brand. It shows some of your safety information, your current speed, and just normal information like your fuel. There's not too much shown here. One thing that is interesting is it can be controlled from this little knob on your steering wheel, which changes depending on the context. So depending on which menu you're in or what you're doing, the function of this will change. Now, one thing that the screen is really good for is your drive modes. You can see you have this little knob for drive modes. And as I turn it, you will see we can cycle through the different drive modes. So it gives you a nice little animation for all of them. And you can just see they did a really nice job of animating this system. Very, very nice indeed. So in terms of visibility, you can see I have really good visibility. Your A-pillar goes out kind of far, but it's nice and thin. And I also just like your mirrors have a blind spot warning in them, and I like how they look with that black contrast. Cole mentioned that earlier. And also, one thing I would like to see in this vehicle is a camera mirror system like they have in the Toyota Highlander or the GM products. I'm surprised Ford hasn't introduced that yet. You just have a traditional mirror right here. But other than that, a very nice driver's position. Let's talk about the rest of the interior. And up here, we have your Sync 3 infotainment system. If you've been in any Ford product, this will look very familiar. You can see that it is pretty snappy when you're scrolling, but when it comes to actually selecting menus, sometimes it can lag a little. Right now, it is not. But if you've been in a Ford vehicle, this looks very familiar. Some people might complain about how they stuck the screen right on the display because they think it looks cheap like that. I actually do not feel that way. It is a bit of a thicker screen, as Cole was just moving aside. You can kind of get a sense of how thick this screen is. But I actually don't mind that it's stuck on here like this because I think they did a nice job of surrounding it with this leather and making a nice cutout for it. I think that's a really good look for this vehicle. There isn't a whole lot to say about this infotainment system. If you've been in a Ford vehicle, you've seen it. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Here's a good demonstration of how snappy it is when you swipe. So overall, a very good system. Now this is a new Lincoln video, so we do have to talk about the 30-way adjustable seats. Yes, 30 ways, it is insane. Now I'm gonna say a lot of reviewers tell people that you can't get comfortable in these seats because there's too many ways to adjust them. I think that is correct, but these reviewers are usually driving these vehicles for only a short period of time. If you own this vehicle, you're gonna have plenty of time to find your perfect seating position. And I can say after sitting in this car for about an hour or two, I have been able to find a seating position that I find comfortable, and you do have 3 memory seat settings. One thing to note is the passenger side does not have any memory seat settings, which I think is a giant oversight on Lincoln's part. There really should be a memory setting on that side. These seats are heated and cooled in the front. I think they have really good power. The ventilated seats are actually kind of loud, but the heated seats get really hot. I really like that. But these seats adjust in so many ways. You have an adjusting shoulder pad. If I move forward, you can see the shoulder area behind me can move independently of the rest of the seat. You can see we have a power headrest that moves up, down, and in and out. Then you just also have your thigh extenders. You have independent thigh extenders. So for your right and left leg, you can adjust them independently, which I just think is so cool. Now, if all of these functions aren't enough for you, you just press this little seat button right here, and up on the screen comes even more adjustments for all the airbags within the vehicle, within your seat. So you can see you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra adjustments here. And then if you click massage, you have a variety of different massages you can choose from. I can tell you they feel pretty powerful. They feel really good. They feel better than just using the airbags to inflate and deflate, even though that is what the system is doing. I think it feels really good. I really like these seats. I would suggest going for them if you are going to buy a Lincoln vehicle and you are going to use it primarily for yourself for a long period of time. I give it 2 thumbs up. Now let's talk about your center stack. Down here you have 3 buttons. These actually interact with your infotainment system. This one right here turns on your camera system. So you can see we have a front camera right now and a 360 camera, which is very clear, very crisp. I really do like that. You have a parking button right here if you want to use the automatic parking function. We can get into that in a little bit. And then that third button right below it allows you to see some of your safety features. So you can see if your auto start stop, auto hold, and traction control are on. So that's really nice to have a quick shortcut to your driver assistance. These air vents right here feel pretty good. They have a nice resistance to them. I like how they have the chrome outline. Then you have what Lincoln calls the piano key shifter. This is actually my favorite non-traditional shifter. I prefer a traditional lever, but if I'm not gonna have a lever, I prefer this to all of the other options that people have come up with. It's nice and snappy, and I think it's really classy. It really fits this vehicle well. Then you have this nice wood down here which complements the sandstone, this dark wood. I really like that. What I don't like is this just smattering of black, piano black plastic. This just looks cheap on an otherwise fantastic looking interior, but you do have a nice temperature gauge right here which shows which temperature you're choosing, so that's kind of a nice touch to have the temperature shown not only on the screen but here as well. You have a heated wheel control right there, and your knobs right here have really nice decoration on them. I would like if the knobs felt a little sturdier and a little more like glued in, but they do look very nice. Moving down from there, you have this interesting material right here. I'm not sure how to describe it. It's almost like a metallic wood, and you have these nice slide coverings which reveal cup holders, and there's some more storage in here, and you can see the little rubber grips are actually the shape of the Lincoln logo. That is a very cool detail, and you do have these little spring-loaded buttons which kind of hold in your drink, which I really do like. There's not too much to say in here in your center area. It's pretty deep, pretty wide. You can option a wireless charger on this vehicle, this individual vehicle. Getting out of the vehicle, it's like a Corvette. There is a similarity between a Corvette and a Lincoln Aviator. You have a button to press to get out. Remember, these are the electronic handles. If this button does fail, there is a physical latch down there you can pull. Just hit that button, it opens up, and you can hear that lovely chime. That was made by the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, and I think it is a very nice touch. Also getting out, you have your lit Lincoln seal plates, which is very nice. So it really is a nice experience, even getting out of this vehicle. Here in the middle seat, it is very nice. As a passenger, you have these nice pockets right here. You have a really nice screen and climate system. These seats are very comfortable. They are heated and cooled. We do have the Elements Plus package on this vehicle. You have a really responsive touchscreen right here. Through here, you can control your climate, you can control your seats, you can control your audio, and then you can also put on a nice little clock which shows the clouds as you wisp away in your Aviator. You also have this really nice center console. It's nice and leather padded. It has wood on it, and you have a nice big center cubby in it that has a nice cover on it. I really like how they've done this. It's much nicer than just 2 little cup holders in the middle. You do have 2 cup holders, by the way, with the spring-loaded action to hold your cup steady, which is nice. Then something else that I really like about this is this massive sunroof. This panoramic sunroof is part of the Reserve 1 package, which is about $5,000 on this vehicle, and it is massive. It is so wide and so long, and you can't really appreciate it as a front passenger, but as a rear passenger, you really can just see the whole system. And then your center console right here also has controls for the shade that goes over it. So this is a very nice place to be, the second row of this vehicle. That is not so true for the third row. And now it's time for me to climb into the third row so that you all like and subscribe to this video. So to get in the third row, all you're gonna do is press this button on the second row seats, and then you can slide them forward, and you actually have a really nice point of entry to get in. It's really nice and wide. And now to demonstrate how cramped the third row in this vehicle is, Cole and I are both gonna get in at the same time. So as I mentioned, ease of entry is really nice. And then you get back here, and there's not a whole lot of room. You can see my knees are right up against the seat. This is not a comfortable place to be at all. You can kind of put up your headrest right here, and yeah, I don't want to be in here for a long trip. I'm smushed. You do have air vents back here at least, but other than that, not a whole lot of amenities in this vehicle for the third row passenger. You definitely want to get here and beat everyone else that you're in the second row. Driving the Lincoln Aviator, here we go. So first I'm going to take you on this smaller back road right here and we'll get a feel. First of all, plenty of power. We mentioned that this car has 400 horsepower and that 415 pound-feet of torque. You really feel it in this vehicle. I mean, it's a big vehicle, but you can certainly feel that it's a powerful one. Brake response is good, braking as we come into this corner. And the suspension just feels floaty. It's exactly as a Lincoln should be. I know this vehicle shares a platform with the Ford Explorer, but I've been in the new Ford Explorer and driven in it, and I can tell you the new Ford Explorer is much stiffer suspension-wise than this vehicle. This vehicle is available with air suspension as part of the $3,000 driving dynamics package, I believe that it's called. That also comes with the all-wheel drive and whatnot, but really this suspension alone just feels so nice. So really positive driving dynamics here. Let's get on the highway and I can show you some of the safety tech. And here we go to an on-ramp. Now, I'm not gonna floor it out of respect for the owner of this vehicle, but I can give her a little gas. And I can tell you that you really feel that 400 horsepower being put right down to the rear wheels. You really do feel that. Now, you do have two levels sort of safety equipment on this car. There is the Lincoln Copilot 360, the standard version, which comes on all versions of the Aviator. And that includes stuff like your lane departure warning. And so essentially if I go too close to a line, the steering wheel will vibrate, which is sort of a nice touch if my turn signals aren't on. But then there's the more advanced system, which this vehicle has, which is Copilot 360 Plus. Now what this gives you is near self-driving. So what this on the highway is not comparable to Tesla Autopilot, but it is maybe comparable to GM Super Cruise, sort of. So now I have the cruise control engaged, and I have now engaged the lane keeping system. So it will keep the vehicle centered. As you can see, we're coming up on a turn here. I have my hands off the wheel, and you can see the wheel is turning, it is taking the turn for us, which is super cool. So we have our cruise control on, and it's telling me to keep my hands on the wheel. So if you just give the wheel a little nudge every now and then, that will kind of keep the system happy. But really, on the highway, this is pretty much self-driving on the highway, which is a really cool feature. And I feel very confident in it. It hasn't given me any scares in the time we've been using it here. I think it feels really good. It's clearly a solid system.
So about to pull out from this Whole Foods right now. I first off just want to say I really like these turn signals. They sound so elegant, so Lincoln. I do feel like Matthew McConaughey when I'm driving this Lincoln. And another thing, we just had that auto start stop. That's also very elegant. That is applied very nicely. I really like the way they do that. And another thing I noticed is, although this is a luxury SUV, this pedal is very responsive. I mean, you get it once go, I mean, it does rev up. So that is another very impressive thing. Another weird thing to note is it is floor mounted. Normally there's a hinge coming up where the pedal is, but this one comes up from the floor, which is a bit different, but I like it. And hopefully when there's no traffic, I can get a shot of me accelerating it. So just gonna get a shot of me flooring it real quick just before this light, just for a second. The thing really moves. That was just for a couple seconds, but for a vehicle of this weight, pretty impressive. This is a perfect amount of power. You wouldn't want any more because then it takes away from the luxury kind of feel. And you wouldn't want any less because then highway merges could be difficult with the vehicle this size. So it really is a perfect balance. And the way it accelerates too it's not rough, it's effortless. It just kind of shoom, kind of like an airplane, which is what they were going for. So I really like that. Merging onto the highway there was someone right next to me in my blind spot, but you have that nice little light thing that lights up there. I've driven in other cars before that have had that light up before, but it really just isn't as bright or visible as this is, so that's really nice. Another thing is, now that we're on the highway, the ride is really nice. It does feel like a nice floaty boat, which is what you want out of a luxury third-row SUV like this. So I can't imagine what the air suspension would feel like. Even you probably wouldn't feel anything. It would absorb everything, because this car we have isn't equipped with that. But honestly, I don't think you need it. If you wanted to go for it, it's probably really amazing. But as it is, this ride is really nice. So one more thing I wanted to add about the ease of driving in this car, because not only is it's easy to turn, you have great highway acceleration, very easy to drive, but the visibility is good. Not only do you have tons of rear cameras and blind spot and cross traffic alert and whatnot, but I was making a right turn, I look over my shoulder, and that third window there is very good. Although it's kind of blocked by that headrest, overall you can see a lot, and I could see the car right in my blind spot. It was really nice. I didn't even need the light, but you have a multitude of sources, so you better not crash a car like this. Final driving impressions. Power, as I said, completely adequate. It is the perfect amount. I really love where it's at. I couldn't see why you would need all the extra power in the plug-in hybrid. I think you're really at a great spot here. The safety features, the blind spot monitoring, the visibility, very good. It's a very easy car to drive, given despite its size, honestly. The steering, it's very nice and light, although pretty responsive. It handles decently, a lot of body roll as you'd expect, but you want a lot of body roll. You want it nice and floaty, and overall, I really like it. It's very nice to drive.
This car does have a park assist feature. So all you're gonna do is while you're crawling in the parking lot, you're gonna hit this parking button, activate park assist, and you're gonna hit which type of parking you're doing and put on your turn signal. So in this case, we're pulling into a spot, we're gonna put on our turn signal. What I found is that it does not work well in empty parking lots like the one we're in now. Okay, so we can see a space has been found. We're gonna shift the car into neutral, and we are going to hold this park button right here while the car parks itself. And it's gonna try to park next to Cole's car right here. And you can see if I let go, the car will shutter and it will stop. So you can see canceled, take control. But you get the idea of how it would work there. You would hold that button and it would auto park. This is an incredibly stylish car. If you're looking for a 3-row luxury SUV, this should be on your hot list. Look, the Lincoln Aviator used to be a very poor car. It was discontinued in 2005, but Lincoln is coming back. With this car, the rest of their lineup, they are throwing punches, they are taking names. Lincoln is not messing around anymore. They are a legitimate luxury brand, and they are here to play now. So guys, if you like this review, please consider subscribing to Gas Guzzlers. It really helps us a lot to get more cars like this and to get more good reviews for you guys. We hope you like the driving portion of today's video. We hope to do more like that in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you all in next week's video.